Hello again and welcome to this new video about modal verbs. Today we are gonna study what are modal verbs, how are they categorized, and how can we use them. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Modal verbs are a very specific kind of verbs. They actually fall into the non-action verbs category. So this means they don't actually represent an action. So let's have one example here. I can write. So right there we can see the action is actually write, and can is just to have the ability of writing. Also, we're going to take into account these three rules. So the first one, we don't need to use to before the second verb. So as you can see here, we don't have any to in the middle of them. Then we are not going to use s or es for the third person. So if we say he can write, we just leave the word like that, can or should or must. And also, when we make questions, we are not going to use the auxiliary do. So you can ask a question by just saying, can you write? Taking this into account, let's see the category. First, we have ability. This is the first category. The two modal verbs that we are going to be using, in this case, it's can or could. And this is just well represented by the name. It's just to have the ability of doing something. Let's see this example. Can you speak another language? Okay, so can you speak? Are you able to speak another language? Do you have the ability to speak another language? So, in this case, you can see how we are not using the auxiliary do for making a question. So there we have the first or one of the rules that we have. Also, you can use these modal verbs to see if people have the ability and the will of doing one action. So, for example, you can say, could you open the door? So I know maybe you can, but I want to know if you want and if you will do it for me. Take a look into permission modal verbs. In this case, the words or the modal verbs that we are going to use are can, could, and may. Let's check the first example. Can I go to the party? So I'm asking permission. Maybe you can ask this to your parents to see if you can go to your party. So, will you be able to get the permission? That depends on the other person, of course, right? Then, could April come with me? So in this case, I'm asking permission if this person would be able, like in a near future, to come with me. And may I see your notes? So, may I see? Can I see? Would you borrow them to me? Then we have advice. And these are the first, or this is the first word that we are going to be using later on in some exercises. So, for advice, we use should. Let's take a look at the examples. Should I go to the doctor? Should I go? Like, I have this problem, I'm sick. Do you think it's good if I go? Or you can tell people your advice. You should wear a face mask. You know, right now, if you go into public or if you go to crowded places, you should wear a face mask. Then we have obligation. In this case, the words we are going to be using are must and have to. Let's see the examples. You must stop touching your face. Okay, this is not an option. You must stop touching your face. Or in this case, you must do your homework. Another example is, you have to wash your hands with soap. Okay, you have to. There is no other option. If you don't do it, there might be consequences, or they will be consequences. So, I hope this has really explained the categories, and I wanted to let you know, or to explain to you, how to create an advice. So, let's use this chalkboard to give an advice. So, we already know we have three different words that we can use. So we have should, we have must, and we have to. So if someone is having an issue, maybe if someone is sick, you can go ahead and say, as the example I said before, you should go to the doctors. Or if you have to do a homework, for example, you must finish it by the due date. Another example is, you have to take your pills. So there you have three different examples on how to give an advice, and you already know which modal verbs exist and when to use them. So go ahead and practice, and I'll see you in the next video.